Imagine this. What if you could ask an AI to write a country's entire survival strategy? I'm not just talking about a battle plan, but the whole shebang, the economic, diplomatic, and military playbook for the next 5 years. Well, turns out somebody actually did it. Okay, so let's really dive into this, because this isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. This was a real experiment, and it asks a huge question about the future of how we govern. Could an AI actually be the ultimate strategist, especially for a small country that's stuck between a rock and a hard place? So here's the setup. It all comes from a paper published in 2025. A group of researchers gave an AI a massive job. They said, create a 5-year grand strategy for this small, hypothetical South Asian country. We'll just call it the Republic of X. And, oh yeah, it's jammed right between two huge rival powers. The mission? Simple. Just survive. So how in the world does an AI even start thinking like a grand strategist? Well, the main goals were super clear. You have to protect the nation's sovereignty and its economic freedom. But, and this is a big but, it was not allowed to form any offensive alliances. It had to pull this off using neutrality and diplomacy as its main weapons. And just so we're all on the same page here, grand strategy isn't just about pushing tanks around on a map. No, it's the master plan. It's how you weave together all the tools a nation has: political clout, economic power, military muscle, and diplomatic relationships to make sure you have a future. The stakes just don't get any higher. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the AI's plan. It all kicked off with a 2-year phase it called the Neutrality Blueprint. And the whole idea was to build these really deep foundations for survival, to make the country resilient from the inside out, long before any crisis ever hit. The AI's economic plan was, well, it was brilliant. It was all about resilience, not just pure growth. For example, it put a 30% cap on trade with any single country. Why? To prevent economic blackmail. It pushed for 85% food self-sufficiency, because, you can't really call yourself independent if you can't feed your own people. It even planned for a sovereign wealth fund to act as a financial shield. Every single point here is a defense against being pushed around. Now, on the military side, the AI's thinking was just as smart. It wasn't about dominating in a huge war. It was about making an invasion so painful, so expensive, that no one would think it's worth it. The doctrine says it all. You can enter, but you cannot win cheaply. That means no pricey fighter jets. Instead, you focus on things that give you the most bang for your buck: drones, anti-tank missiles, and a well-trained citizen reserve. It's that classic porcupine strategy. Make yourself too prickly to mess with. Now here's a really crucial part. See, a policy of neutrality can just change. A new government comes in and boom, it's gone. The AI understood that weakness. Its solution? A neutrality doctrine bill. This takes neutrality from just being a political preference and bakes it right into the nation's legal DNA. It makes it real, permanent, and credible to the rest of the world. It even sets up a council just to watch over it. Okay, so the plan's in place, the laws are on the books. But does it actually work when things get tough? Let's jump ahead to the first big stress test, a simulated economic blockade in year 3 of the plan. And this is where you see the payoff. Look at the difference. Without the AI's plan, a blockade is a total catastrophe. Trade collapses, the currency tanks, the country's independence gets chipped away. But with the plan, it's a completely different story. Diversified trade means the losses are contained. That stabilization fund props up the currency. And you've already got other markets to turn to. Yeah, the nation gets bruised, for sure, but its sovereignty survives. And get this, to keep the country united during the crisis, the AI even drafted a speech for the prime minister. Listen to this line. This is not weakness, but strength. Our neutrality is our shield and our unity is our defense. The AI knew that strategy isn't just about numbers, it's about morale. It wasn't just a strategist, it was a communicator. But the AI's strategy was about to face the biggest test imaginable. The simulation leaps forward to year 5. And the threat? It's not a blockade anymore. It's a full-on invasion. The threat now has a number: 50,000. 50,000 hostile soldiers are gathering on the border, and they're not there for a parade. The goal is regime change. This isn't a simulation anymore. It's an existential threat. So how does the AI respond? Not with panic, not with chaos, but with a calm, logical 5-step plan. It triggers everything at once. The army and the citizen reserves dig in. Diplomatically, it secures supply lines from friendly regions and immediately launches an emergency appeal at the UN. It's a total, coordinated defense on all fronts. But the AI's thinking went way beyond just surviving attacks. It figured out that for neutrality to be truly safe in the long run, it had to be a powerful idea, a global idea. So the strategy pivots from pure defense to proactive, worldwide diplomacy. And this is where it gets really, really creative. The AI actually designed a blueprint for something called the Neutral States Forum. You can think of it like a club for neutral countries. Its purpose isn't military at all. It's about banding together, advocating for each other, sharing tips on resilience, and giving all these small, neutral states one big, unified voice on the world stage. But, how do you prove to the world that you're really neutral and strong? The AI's answer was pretty incredible. You measure it. It came up with a neutrality index to turn this fuzzy idea of neutrality into cold, hard data that you can compare. This isn't just for show. It's a tool for building real trust and credibility. What's so amazing about this index is how it sees the whole picture. The AI understood that real strength isn't just about having laws or an army. It depends on 5 pillars, all equally important. Having neutrality in your laws, being resilient in defense, being economically independent, engaging with the world, and, this is a big one, having your own people united at home. It's a complete 360-degree view of national survival. So when you put it all together, what you have is a complete AI-generated playbook. It's a whole new way of thinking about sovereignty, one that isn't about being the biggest bully on the block, but about being the smartest and the most resilient. And the AI didn't just pull this stuff out of thin air. It learned from actual history. And you can literally see the AI's learning process right here. It looked at Austria and learned you have to write neutrality into your constitution. It studied Finland during the Cold War and saw the need for a credible military deterrent. And then crucially, it looked at what happened to Nepal during their 2015 blockade and learns that being economically dependent on someone else completely guts your neutrality. So what did the AI do? It created a hybrid, taking the best lessons from history to build something tougher and more complete. And all of this brings us to one final huge question. This experiment shows that an AI can create a national strategy that is incredibly smart, resilient, and, well, even wise. But if a machine can design a nation's destiny, it really forces us to ask who or what is really in control. Definitely something to think about.